Was good. Was good.
Hey, what is your biggest reason for, optimism? I mean, the record obviously wasn't what you guys wanted it to be, but seems like a lot of people are coming out of this season feeling good about the direction of the franchise. And I guess from your perspective, if that's the case, why?
To your question, you asked me, why am I optimistic about the season? Man, because we had a lot of growth. We played a lot of young players. We had a lot of young players have to play, and guys that had to step up and when their name was called, they had to, be ready to play. And we were able to play a lot of young guys and put them in situations where they might have got beat, might have got something happen, but they learned lessons. So I think that was the biggest deal about this year, allowing a lot of our young guys to get the experience that they need, and then go forward with that, and then moving in the future where you got a lot of second-year guys who had a lot of experience in the season, and that they can get the job done. So I think that was the biggest thing, was seeing the growth of this team over this season.
What did you think of guys like Lee and Levi, just from maybe what you saw, what you observed early on, week 1, week 2, week 3, versus what you saw of those guys later in the year and the contributions they were making?
I can say the same things for them, just a lot of growth. Because early in the season, I was, taking a lot of plays, just because I wasn't sure about those guys. They're young, fresh into the NFL, kind of thrown into that fire. You want them to see a lot, but not too much. But then as the season, went going and it continued, we started to throw them in a little bit more. Started, see what they can do. The coaches wanted to see what they can do, and they stepped up. So I can say the same thing about those guys. A lot of growth is what we're optimistic about. Is just being with those guys and knowing that they have the experience, and moving forward, we know what those guys can do. So we're looking to go in the right direction.
Go back to your first.
Campbell and his leadership a little bit this year. It seems like it was almost like 2 seasons. It's like it flipped at some point for you guys.
Mm-hmm.
Talk about Dan's leadership and how him being steady every day, how that helped you guys as the year went on.
I think that was the biggest thing for me coming here is, Dan being a player, the staff having, most of the coaches on the staff being players, is because they understand what we go through on a daily basis, coming into meetings, dealing with the outside world, family and stuff like that, coming in the building, have to dealing with the media and dealing with your performance. They understand all those things. So when it comes to taking care of our bodies, understand, where our mental headspace is, throughout the week. Some weeks he was like, man, we go die down a little bit, we go walk through, stuff like that. Players appreciate that because, so many coaches in this league, they don't play the game. They haven't really played at this level. So when they're just working you, they don't understand the stress that you go through throughout the week, and these coaches do. So that's why the players love playing for these coaches, because they understand us, but at the same time, they expect a lot out of us. But, we're players. We understand that, and, we play in the league for a reason, and we want to win.
Is there a specific moment you can point to, like maybe where it was, like, I know we talked about that a lot going into the year, but for you personally, is it a moment you can point to where they did help you throughout the season, just like maybe something you was dealing with?
I was dealing with a shoulder early on in training camp. I didn't really, practice during training camp, and dealing with a little nerve issue, and coach looked out for me. I was able to come back, start the season off, and I finished the season off strong. So little things like that, most coaches would want you to push through and show how tough you are. Our coaches understand that there's your tape shows, especially for a guy like me. Your tape shows, so he understands that he can take a little bit off me, and I'll get the job done as well.
Any sort of surgeries that your knee, anything? I mean,
no surgeries. Just stuff I have to constantly rehab, and that's what the offseason is for. Just going into the offseason with a purpose, understanding getting my body right, getting my shoulders together, everything else. So when I come into the season next year, it'll be ready to go.
Do you have a raccoon in your pocket or something?
No, it's my keys.
You've been around here.
You were.
Did you learn anything new about him this year, and obviously in a different, maybe tougher situation?
His leadership. He was. I guess covered up so much about with McVay and the offense, and how overpowered it was. And, this year you've seen his leadership, his growth as a quarterback, as a leader, leading the huddle, getting guys together, showing the guys behind him, going through the game plan with him. His leadership has picked up tremendously just throughout this year. And then that goes to what I said before, man. This team has had a lot of growth. A lot of players have growth in different aspects of their game. So I'm just ready for next season and seeing what we can show.
Follow up on Jared, and for Jared to play in this last game, Dan spoke to that. We all know he had the knee injury, but does that just add value to the leadership gains he made for this team?
For sure. Definitely gets a lot of respect for you to play in a game like that, with a little bit of an injury and what we could say meaningless game, and to go out there and put your body on the line for us, that goes a long way for the players and the coaches as well. So I've always said, man, Jared is one tough guy, man. I've seen him get knocked around and come back the next day with big bruises and stuff like that, and he still manages to pick himself up every day and show up to work. So hats off to him, and I appreciate him for that.
For Liam and Levi, what will be the key for them this offseason, and what did you make of their first year in the league?
It was a season where they were throwing in the fire. I said that earlier. I said the biggest thing for them, moving forward is to go about this as a professional. Take every step throughout the offseason as a professional. Systematically work your way throughout the offseason. Don't just don't just sit down. Don't just chill. Don't just gain weight. Work at your craft throughout the whole offseason. You don't have to overdo yourself, but let's be a professional about a lot of things we do.
Question about Brad Holmes. Obviously, you knew him before, and he was the reason you came here, a reason. When you look at the players he got, St. Brown, for example, and some other players, obviously veterans, just your thoughts on the totality of the roster he put together with his first chance.
He's building, man. He's building, and this was just a start. It was just a start. He had to get his key pieces, and you see what he got. We got Ahmad, we got Panay. He's establishing that foundation of his guys that he wants, that he knows that is going to have that grit, that mentality to keep going no matter what, to fight no matter what. So he's just building that foundation for this team, and it's going to represent in a couple of years, you're going to see why he drafted those players and see them pan out.
And Michael, just to go from where you came from with the Rams and winning a lot of games and coming to a rebuild in Detroit, what kind of characteristics or growth did you have as a player that you think that taught you this season? Like, what struggles this season? What has it taught you?
Man, for me, it really raised my leadership level. Because we're going through this season. I could have easily, was like, man, freak it. The season's over with. We're not going to the playoffs. I could have easily given up on the team, given up on the coaching staff, but I went at it as a professional, man. Like, I got to show up every day to show these guys what a professional looks like. They don't need to show a guy, giving up on the team, I don't know, just, not doing everything he can to make this team better. I think they brought me here to do that, and that's what I plan to do, and that's what I showed this year.
And you spoke earlier just about the players, coaches, having them be former players that meant a lot to you. Is it easier to digest that message because they've been out there and they've done it, and because of that, you want to go out there and work a little bit harder?
Oh yeah, for sure. And like I said before, when you're the oldest guy in the building, a lot of guys need somebody to look up to, and I always been a guy who's based his whole career off of consistency, showing up, being ready to play, being available, and that just this year going through all this adversity has just pushed that to another level. Just understanding of who I am as a player, understanding who I am as a leader, as a man, and just showing these guys what a professional looks like.